Hi everyone, welcome back into the studio. Well, today I thought I would do a fun one because we're following what you guys voted for, doing the landscape and then a floral. Now we're going to go into a seascape here. And this one here, this board, this is a regular 1/4-inch board that I like to paint on. And it is 18 inches this way. It's 18 inches this way and 12 inches up in vertical. So it's more of a landscape type of a board with it. But you can increase it, do whatever size that you want to do. Doesn't make a difference. These techniques that I'm going to do also work very nice on a canvas. So if you want to use a canvas on it, because we're going to use a lot of brush and knife techniques, okay, and have some fun with it. I went over here to Adobe Stock and I got a photo. When I was a boy and I grew up, I spent over 30 years on the coast, living right on the ocean and stuff. And even though I looked at it out of my living room window and I loved it. I always loved the ocean. And every time that I walked through the dunes, I'd always get excited the very first time you see the water. And I just love that type of impression. So there's other people out there that are like me that I think it would be nice to paint like the dunes right here and here and opening up right to it. So I went out and looked and found a photo that was very similar. I do want to put in some more light and shadow contrast to it. So I'll be changing some of that and I'll show you what and how we're going to do that. But I want to paint kind of a softer sky into the violets, into the blue greens, into the water, a little bit of the waves, and then concentrate on warm and cool bits for the actual sand itself, okay? And have a bit of fun and paint kind of quickly. All right, so first what I want to do is I want to come up here and I'm just going to take my ruler and I'm going to find right about what halfway is going to be, which would be right about here. So I want to come up a little higher, maybe even as much as here. So right about in there. So my sky would occupy, just a little bit over a third of the painting. Just a little over a third of the painting my sky will occupy, and then the beach scene and everything else will go a little bit lower than that. So then I use my trusty square, which I made from using another one, which I've told you guys about in other videos. I just took a ruler and cut it off, squared it up, and then this is going to help me with my sky. So we'll use that. So we'll start right there. So I'm going to take some of my sky. I want my sky to be more of a blue violet. So we'll start now. All these colors that you have here, again, like everything I do, I put them in the video description down below, okay? So just go down to the video description. And I know some of you that are in other countries and stuff that say, you're from England or you don't have access to all the countries. We're not in all the countries yet. There are over 250 acrylic companies out there, and it is hard to get all of your colors into all the different countries and stuff. So, we're not there, but you can find everything that I use right on our website, and we ship to every single country in the world. So you can always get it that way too. But always there's other there's other really good acrylics out there that you can use as well. But let's come in here and let's actually make this, let's go a little bit darker, and we're going to just draw the line. So I'm going to come up here with maybe a value 6 or so, and I'm just going to make a line across here. Maybe go up just a touch more, right about like there, somewhere right in there. And I'm just going to draw the line here with the edge of my 3/4 inch brush. And I like it because it's not exactly perfect, but it does do a pretty good job there. And make sure that you do wipe off the edge of your ruler. I don't always do that. Take a little bit of water, wipe that off so that you don't over time get a buildup of paint on your ruler, and then it gets bumpy. Then your horizon gets bumpy and stuff. So that'll work right there. Now, so let's go up. Let's go to our bigger brush here. We're going to go a little bit more violet, a little more blue, a little bit more violet, some white here, okay? And I'm not going to mix this up like super well here. Just mix it up a little bit. We'll add a little extender. This is extender Okay, this is the extender medium that's in our line here, and I use it anytime I want to get something thick. This is the open medium, but it's made by Derivan Matisse Open Medium. And so I'm just going to add a little bit of extender to this. Not too much, just because I like how it slides across the surface. So I'll add just a bit here, more of this. And let's just put this on. Now see, I'm going to use a brush. And let's talk about that as I'm doing this. I want the brush because the brush, you know, I've done skies. You've seen me do skies and clouds and stuff like that with my palette knife. I can do that, okay? But I want to use a brush so that my sky stays softer. So my sky will stay soft here. And I'll allow some of the movement. Sometimes I just let the white, oh, I forgot to tell you all about that. Why didn't you guys tell me that? The board here is regular board, and then I prep it with the canvas prep medium. This is the acrylic Heritage canvas prep medium, but I use it on boards and stuff well because it leaves a matte surface here, which is what I really like. And let's put in, now see, after I do that, I can come in here, maybe add a little, let's take a little violet and a little bit of blue and stuff here and make kind of a lighter, so there's my sky color. So I'll just model this together a little bit here. Don't mix it up real well. Model that together here. And let's just make some additional movement of some sky, or what I like to call atmosphere back through here. Just atmosphere into the sky. Then you can take your big soft brush and just pull through that a bit here and create some more visual movement and stuff there into the sky. Let's put a little bit more light, maybe right out here across, maybe a few more little marks like that, and just lightly pull across here to move that in. Sometimes exit so that you get, you know, wind clouds and stuff, get movement through the wind, and so you can pull down and move some different ways and get a nice, beautiful looking soft little cloud. Do you want to put more out there? You can always add more, okay? If I start making this right now too much about the sky, what's going to happen is I'm going to have to paint more and more and more up into the front. But I'm, you know, at the front to get it the contrast to come up here. But I might want to take a bit of that violet, which is pretty, maybe the violet and the white here, right up along my horizon line here, because we do know that the horizon line gets a little bit lighter, even though I don't have much of a horizon line here. Let's just add a little bit here, and you know, not one big pull stroke. You know, sometimes stutter the marks here so that you get some of that atmosphere along that edge. That's really nice. All right, so now let's go down, and you can see the line there for the ocean is quite blurry there, and that ocean is somewhere right almost all the way back there, almost phthalo blue by itself. Maybe since it's going against the violet, maybe in the very back we add a little bit of violet to it, and we'll just a little bit more violet to it, and then we'll get some lighter colors and stuff as we come forward. Now I might just do this one more time here, set this up and set that right along the edge there and bring that in right there like that. That's good. Now, so that sets the ocean there, and it is a stark contrast, but you can see right there in the photo, it is a stark contrast. Now, maybe I want to blur that off a bit. So what I'm going to do, and you can blur it off really easy with your big brush, just pull down slightly. And make sure you wipe your brush because you picked up dark. So wipe your brush, okay, pull down slightly, and so you're taking the light down over the edge, which makes that more atmospheric. You can leave some spots, like in some things I would leave maybe an edge there, but that's a bit much. So I'll just pull down slightly and just blur off that edge. So you can just softly pull off, and now that is all part of the painting here. Let's add a little bit of extender because I do love the extender here. And I'll just fill in a bit. And again, as I'm filling this in a bit, I like to do smaller. Sometimes I just stutter a little bit, which is going to give some action to your ocean here. Okay, boom, like that. You can even use your big brush here, even with the colors on it. Wipe it so you don't have much right here. And I love these brushes. It's an expensive brush. This is the 2-inch Fusion, but it just does an amazing thing. Let's make sure we flatten it out a bit, because it is a very, very soft brush. Make sure you stutter a little bit. Don't just pull a big line. Stutter a little bit. That gives some of the interest, and soften that against. So now you can see we've pretty much captured some of the look of that sky and stuff going back there. Now, before I get going too much here, let's do a little sketching with this. And I'll grab myself this is my number 10. I love to sketch with like a dirty burnt sienna. Let's just use a burnt sienna and a little bit of yellow oxide and some water here. And I want to come up, and this might be a... So I like that, where that comes up almost to the edge of the horizon line here. So I'm going to back off some of my blue. Just take a paper towel with a little bit of water in it and cut through, because you don't want it's okay to have blue in there and have that atmospheric stuff, but we don't want to have too much, because that will, make it all green, right? We know that. So let's find another little clean piece of paper towel. Let's back it off right up here. Just a little water, that's your solvent. You see, you can back it off. Sometimes and I don't think I've ever shown you guys this, but some of the secrets that we never share. I'm kidding. I like to show you guys everything that I do. I will sometimes do an entire painting with the light blue of the atmosphere, like the edge of the atmospheric, the back receding part, and your deepest distance into your painting. Do it all over. Then come back with a damp paper towel and wipe off some of the foreground areas, leaving some of that atmosphere everywhere through the painting. And it creates a really nice harmony to it. But like you see here, I can draw my painting pretty easy with it. It is a great technique to use. Great, great, great technique. As a matter of fact, right here up into the front, I can just lightly pull it like this and create some of the look of waves right there as well, right in the very front of it, just pulling across, leaving some of that where we might have some waves and stuff coming up a little bit later on. But let's come in, we'll add, so this is my plan. So I'm going to pull down here, I'm going to pull right down here. This will be shadow. So we might as well, let's just take some burnt sienna and yellow and burnt sienna, maybe a touch of violet to cool this down, even a little touch of blue, dirty it down, okay? And let's come in here and let's just drop in some of this. I want this up a bit. This is going to be shadow. I'm going to leave a little bit of light right back there, but that's going to be some major shadow. We'll pull some light across here, and we'll come right back in and do some more major shadowing in there as well. Okay, so now let's put up maybe a little bit of a shadow over here, slightly lighter. I'm going to be just kind of putting in some colors, light and dark. Now, I do want these shadows to be a little bit more violet. Now, why violet? Because it'll play against the warm yellowish sand and give me a nice contrast. So maybe a little bit more towards a violet or a lighter violet. So the cooler receding sides of the dune here, which will blur that slightly. So we'll get them just a bit more blue and violet here. Just let some of this, and we're going to change all this. This is just giving me an idea of like where I want to make that cut bank. You can kind of see it change a little bit here, but there's not enough in there for myself. So I want to just, and let's just do this with the knife here. I love the knife because it puts the colors on. See this? More, especially up front here, it's more mottled. Okay, more mottled. I like that modeling. So let's get the violet in here. A little blue and the violet here. Let's get some more of this cut bank in down this way here. And see, when you pull your knife, so this is, I want to have a sloping kind of dune right there, okay? And we'll let that run. We'll put some, some of the dune grasses and stuff up here as well. Pull some of that down. Just let some of that go that way. There's a real light violet into a beach area here, so I might want to pull this back, open up just a bit more of that beach right there. Let's put that in. It's more of a violet, warm violet. So a little yellow in the violet. So you still have that violet. In painting the beaches, a lot of you that follow me on Seascape, violets are extremely important in painting the beaches. So when we look at that color there, I could have a little bit more violet, a little bit more yellow here, and maybe just a touch more yellow. Now you got to remember your acrylic, so you're going to dry a little darker there. So that's pretty darn good up through that. Let's just run that right here horizontally. I'll take off some of the texture because I don't want that texture to travel too far forward there. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is, and you can do this too. So I use my hands a lot, and I know some of you oil painters can't do that and stuff. So I usually use a brush, and we'll just pull this across here a couple of times. And I want to take this into the water a bit because that creates the transparency of the water. So this is my little number 10 here, and I'll pull that across and just work that into the water here a bit, right up along that edge there, okay? And so that's going to make the beach. And you can put on a little more water if you're a little thin there and drag it towards the front a bit so you get a overlapping of the two colors. That's what we want to have. Just a gentle overlapping of the two colors there. Don't mix them up. Don't do it too many times. It'll start to mix. And then in really good reflected water on the beach, it gets even a little bit more violet. So I'm going to add a little more blue, a little bit more of my Quinacridone Violet here. And right up here, wet sand gets a little bit more violet. And so, and we can see that. You can see that in the photo right there. Now, those of you that are members, I'll put this photo up. And if, if you ever lose a link or something like that to my subscribers, you can just always write me, and I'll help you get it. But I'm just going to put in a little more violet so you can see that change. And we'll work on the water. Matter of fact, we can work on some of that water right now if we want to. What's here. Now, for the water, what I'm going to do is start adding some open medium. And I'm going to add the open medium here so that this stays a little thicker and a little wetter as I do this. Matter of fact, let's go back to our knife. I mean, the knife is one of my favorite things to paint all of this with. So, and I'm just going to pull and slide so you see me push it and pull it there. And that's going to start to make some of the, and see, it's mottled. See, try not to mix it up too much. We'll add a little open medium here, and let's just pull right across. Try not to pull too many times because you'll lose all those other colors there. There we go. Get some highs and lows of those colors coming through right there. And we can also do this with slightly darker colors, a little bit violet, because the trough of the waves, okay, here will be dark. So we can add some troughs to the waves. And I just let my knife just kind of skip. So I roll it down like this a little bit, but I'll skip the color, light pressure, skip the color. And so I'll get some of those troughs in there. And if you need to soften anything out, you can just run your brush right through there. But we want to create some shadow and light trough areas and some areas back here which will have like different waves, a little bit different here, a little bit more. And you can use your big brush I like the knife because it puts it in, you know, not regular. You can get some differences and stuff in it. Maybe a bit of that lovely, and you can see it like in the, it's hard, but what I have it is right there, guys. And I can see that lovely aqua green rolling edge of it. Let's get a little yellow, a little bit of blue, a little bit of white right here. Get that lovely aqua kind of color right in there, right against that edge, that rolling wave right there. And see, it's a little bit too much there, so you can, you know, lift off with your knife right up to where you need it. And see, if you just touch it along some of those areas, let's get a little bit darker and a little more yellow. Not quite as much white, so it's a little different color, green, right there. A few little touches of that back here. And that's what that is just light coming through the waves there. So we'll put a bit of that there, and some of it maybe flattened out here along the beach a bit. Here we go. And then we'll pick up some white. Now we'll just model it into this. Don't mix it up real well. Maybe a little bit of open medium, tap that in as well, but leave it like this, and we'll pick this up. We'll come to one of the lightest areas here to test our wave and pull a little bit, and then just tap and push it a little bit, and it's going to create the undulation of the waves. Maybe another one right along and through here, right there, okay? And yeah, and if you roll down and lift back up, it does some really neat things as well here. And if you, I'm going to, now see, that's what my knife looks like, see, and that's what does good waves. But I'm going to wipe this off here, wipe it on my towel here, and flatten that out just a bit here. And that gives you more shallow water, see? Boom, more shallow water, more different stuff. You can take some of that white, and we're going to paint this just real simple today, just real simple. But we can pull down some edges, just boom. That's a little too much there to make more of a rolling wave. That's a little bit too much. So what I do is I'll slide my knife to get up underneath it and lift it off a bit. There we go, just like that. And you can see I stutter it just a bit so I don't create too much of a line. Just lift up and down. There you go. And you'll get more of the wave look to it, see? All kinds of fun ways to paint with the knife. I just love painting with the knife too, just because it's so much different than the brush, right? Yeah, let's go back to some more lighter white, maybe right along this edge, and just drop a little edge right in there. Maybe a little bit more right in there. Flatten that out a bit. And see, just create that shimmering water right there. But see, you've built up all this paint and you've got so much difference into it. Let's go back to this little aqua. Put a bit of that, it's going to disappear behind the dunes. You're going to go, where's the rest of that wave? Little bit, little touch, maybe just a bit. There we go. It'll go back behind that crest. See how easy that is to make that? And let's take a little warmer and a little light and some warm. And then right up through here, we'll create a little more warmth. I love the combination of the knife and the paper towel. You know, I have all these brushes and everything, but boy, I tell you, there's nothing like a Costco paper towel here just to do that. Okay, so now you got that in there, right? All right, so that gives us, now if you need to, if you've destroyed, see, you can take some of your shadow here. Let's say you get too much white in here. And for you beginners, yeah, that happens all the time. You just roll down and slide some of that dark, and you can pick up here. You could even use your brush, but if you keep it more on the edge, see how it's more on the very edge of my knife here, you can slide in a little bit of that shadow. And then what I like to do is wipe the knife, and then if you use the tip of the knife, that will flatten it out, blend it out just a bit, see? and then I'll just tap a bit to just break that. But you can get some shadow back in there. See, really easy. It's not hard. Sometimes I'll take some of that dark, like right in here, and I'll push up into the wave and then pull back at an angle, and that makes the wave look like it's coming back out flat. Does that make sense? Right out here like that, flat. So if I feel like I have too much of a horizontal, I'll bring some out into the vertical. But that gives it just a real nice look there. And it's fun. It is so fun. And, you know, there's something that is a smaller seascape like this sometimes is easier to paint, like waves and stuff like that, because you don't have to get all of these color exchanges through a larger wave. Makes it a lot easier. All right, let's get back over here. Let's toss in some of this stuff. We're gonna push this right into, and see, I don't wanna get too much into that beautiful wave that's there. We want this to cut in front of that, cut the edge of that here. So we'll be kind of careful here. But I don't want to make solid color. So we'll get back over here to its violets a bit more. A bit more of the violets in there. We'll get that shadow back in there, right? But I got this nice color variation as well. And see, I can push the knife and blend and soften some of those colors, but I want to keep the angle going like that, and I want that kind of shadowy color of the dune coming there. And then in the front of the dune, let's just put on some paint. And I'm going to put on some open medium. This will stay wet for a while. Let's get some nice warm, some of this color in here, some light, some warm right in here like this. And let's get some paint right across the whole front. This is where I really need my big paint scraper, which is right here. Ta-da! Let's use this here. This is what I really love to do, is I'll pull my scraper across like this and get some of this covered in paint. Get this, because I'm going to want to have this forward dune here, see? And we'll get some more light in there. Boom, right across like that. Let's take this knife, okay, make sure it's kind of clean, and we'll pull from the shadow forward like this and remove a bit of that texture. So just pull some of this, and the combination between these two types of painting utensils is really neat. Gives you a neat feel. Let's get some more light right up through here. Get some color into it here. And we're going to go even more light. I'm going to have to get some more white. A little bit more yellow. And I'm just watching my values. Up around an 8 or a 9 light color right here. Just will pull this part of the dune here. And I want to get some paint on here so I can get some of this to color, and then I'll work the other shadows and lights into the beach here. But we'll put on some of this light. I'm thinking, you know, that's a nice little cut there, and it's very simplistic, but I might want to add, let's go a little more violet and some of our yellows here, maybe a little burnt sienna as well. We might want to add a little bit more shadowy tone, just a bit lighter, just right up here, maybe another little side cut. And see, I like to do this now, drag this over, because that creates highs and lows in the beach. Does that make sense? In the beach sand. Just like you have all those footprints over there, we can create some highs and lows. Let's take this up. See, if you hold your knife flat like this, you can move these together, just flat. You got enough paint on there, and you have a lot of paint on there for sure. You have enough paint to move those flat. See, so I can take some light. Let's say I want to move over this opening a bit, which I want to do to match that other one. I'll just put some light on and just kind of drag it that way there. And by leaving some of that override, you create highs and lows and interests within the beach. So I want to do that. Leave that edge a bit, not too much of a ridge over an edge. a little bit there, like that. And lighter colors, of course, come over here because this is the sun-struck area of the dune right there. And let's get a bit more burnt sienna, some light here. Maybe this edge here. Drop that edge down, but it is lighter here. And we'll just manipulate this. So see, I'll strike it and get the high point. This is the apex here. So the shadow would be starting just past the high point here, right? The shadow would be hitting on that other side there. And I do like, there's a few smaller little shadows right in through here. And we can emulate those little bits here. Highs and lows of other little things going on here in the beach. And we have a lot of what is in, on that one there is a lot of little footprints and stuff, so we could emulate some of that rough texture of the sand by just taking and pushing some of that lighter violet around here. So we're going to add a lot more color to this, but this just starts some of your, basically a painting, and a good way to put it is, when you're doing this, is basically an expression of light and shadow, right? And it was like when I learned how to paint portraits and stuff, you're doing it with light and shadow as opposed to drawing lines everywhere. So like the edge, like I've told you, the edge of a cheek or something like that rounds down, you're showing that with light and shadow. So you create form with light and shadow. And that's what I try to do here with some of this. So I'll create some light and shadow areas. And like for example, when we look at this, let's take my little number 10 here. Let's put in a warmer light, real light yellow, and you start putting in marks like this. So that's the light side. And then the other side is the shadow side. And what you start to do is you make this sand that looks all turned up. So you have light sides and shadow. So when you look at that, see, it has light sides and shadow sides. So when you come back to this other side, so you're going to have shadow sides here, and you can even do them more rounded into the shape of footprints and stuff like that. But you're going to have shadows. And then to the left, you're going to have lights. And that's what's going to make this whole beach. And as you build it like this several times, I mean, it'll take you a while. Depends on how much you want to detail and stuff you want to put into it. But that's how you make your beach, shadows and lights. That's how you make your beach look like it's been walked all over here. And make all these little footprints and marks and stuff like that. And so highlights to the pulling upwards like to the left, and then shadow marks here pulling maybe slightly down to the right, and you create the textures of highs and lows. So dirty violets and light sides, light yellows. You can even go more yellows and stuff to it. But yeah, and some painters will take a long time doing it. I'm just going to do it real quick because I start to get the feel of it, and that is enough, a nice feel to it. But I do want to create some more light yellow, sometimes a different yellow, maybe a little Hansa in there, brighter, lighter yellow. This is my sunstruck side here. And I'll let a little bit of the violets come down. Let's do that with the knife. I wanted to do more with the knife, and I'm going to get some more white out here. And some of you thought, oh, maybe, boy, I got to get more white. Some of you thought, oh, maybe he has way too much. Nope. No, we didn't. Let's just lighten this up. And see, this is what I like. See the highs and lows you get with the knife? That's what gives you this interest. These highs and lows of that knife. And I know it's kind of difficult to see sometimes on the camera, but it does. And sometimes I'll smooth it out to give more of that slope feel to it, long longer line to give a slope feel to it. And then some of your shadow lines can come here sideways, side to side, and see this is shape. And see, it builds a slope and then a flat there. And like I said, you know, you can take some of this light and build some light little touches here and, you know, mark it up a bit, some downward left here, and mark up some of the people walking all over it, leaving footprints and stuff like that into it. Here we go. Like that. Yeah, I like that. Let's put that lighter. All depends on your beach. Now, here, and what kind of beach you're painting. Some beaches are very white. Some are very brown. Here. All depends on your beach. So I kind of like that. And I like, let's go just a little bit lighter shadow before it goes to the deeper shadow. And it's no different than having a transitional halftone, like some of you that paint some of the other styles with me, transitional halftones. So, and we'll just pull some of this in here. Now, a real impressionist would leave all of these marks like that, you know, really heavy marks, because they would add so much to the painting. And it really does. Heavy marks just add a lot to the painting. We might come in here and, yeah, get some more really nice shadowy marks right in there. Some of this light, just take it over, just drag up over so it looks like it rounds over and creates some different shapes and stuff like that. That's what you're creating. Maybe, you know, we had some light passing right through here, right through there. So it's picking up, and it's picking up the, see the fracturing that you're getting with your knife here makes it look like it picks up highs and lows there on different parts of the beach, right? And so I would come back and say, ooh, maybe this is a nice little place to pull a little shadow line down. So I'd look, sometimes I'll drag the knife and then I'll come back and look where I could, you know, soften it or do something different with the light or the shadow, you know. So I pull the knife out there, see what happens, and then come back. Let's put some light maybe up at this angle here. There we go. And we'll make another little rise right there. It's not in the photo, but I'm going to do it anyway. Here. Because I use photos for inspiration. I don't ever go in to copy them. I always kind of use them to inspire me, not to copy. Here. There we go. Just pull some of that. That's kind of pretty, puts in a little bit of a shadow. And the other thing is you see some of the beach grasses and stuff, and then you have to say, do you want some of the beach grasses and stuff? And it'd be nice to put some of that, to break some of these edges and stuff like that here. And, you know, so maybe you want to put in some pretty good beach grasses. You can have some, let's start out with some greens. Model this up. Greens, yellow, burnt siennas, okay? And let's just model some of this up, because you're going to have a shadow side and then a light side. Let's just put in some of the beach grasses. Okay, so we'll pull some of this down through here. And some of it will mix with the light that you already have there and give you the highs and lows that we're kind of looking for. Let's get some of these yellows, greens, and stuff here. Maybe right up onto the edges here. We can take your brush, and you know, you have like this one we've used before too, and you can push that up to give it more of a grass look as well. You know, I mean, there's tons of stuff. Sometimes I use this little brush and push that up to get some of those grass looks to it. You know, in the photo you see those real big, long, tall ones up there, and you can do that as well. There's just all kinds of ways here. Here we'll pull some of this down and around. And the big thing is, whenever you're painting grasses, trees, what do I always tell you? You vary your marks. More than anything else, you vary your marks to give you some differences, right? And so we can tap some of these just right out through here and pull in some heavier, just using different brushes to vary my marks here, and put some of those little grasses in there. A little bit more on the shadow side, the deeper side. We could even go quite a bit darker over there. You know, greens, burnt siennas, some of these darker colors through here, and more contrast colors here. More onto the shadow side there. And again, you could use your knife as well. If you want that really super, you know, rough look to it, you can do that. Let's take some of this green and a little bit of blue, a little bit of red violet, darker colors here. And let's pull some of them down into the deep shadow areas here. Now see, that's a little dark, but look what it does for our visually, for pulling us out of that water right here. And that's what I'm looking for. So maybe one or two of them right up here. And see, I'll touch my brush and use different edges of it and scrape it. I love to scrape the ferrule of it as well and create some different marks right here, see? And pull down if I want to get it a little longer look to some grasses there. Okay, let's take some of that right along. Maybe it comes right up here. And we'll grab some of those looks there. And highs and lows into the sand there. That looks pretty good. Let's grab some yellows into that. Maybe right up along the front edge, it's hitting some more lights. So a bit of the yellows coming through. Maybe just a few little marks right up there. Little bit, see, and you can just touch a few little marks. Sometimes I'll just do that, take my knife, just work the edge just a bit, tap through, sometimes scrape it a little bit, which allows some of the under bit to come through, and it gives you more of the look of grasses there. Just pulls that right through there like that. And you know, you go up close and you go, wow, Dave, you don't know how to paint. But then you get back, it's what we call optical blending, what I say all the time. You get back, you stand back from it, and you go, wow, that's, as your eye starts to blend it over distance, it starts to look like, wow, maybe you do know what you're doing. You know, it's really a neat effect. I love to work the optical effects. But I'll come back here. Let's work that edge of that beach again. See, and when I'm really developing something, like if I'm really, so I'll push, like I'll go back several times. I'll push some of this sand right into what I was doing with the edges of those bushes and stuff there that we're working on, and pull this down into them and just pull some of that through there. Maybe, you know, some of that sand is dribbling through there. Maybe there's a bit more of this light that comes here. We have some of that highs and lows there, so we can come back and just drag through that again. It's layers, right? It's layers. You know, so many times I talk to you about layers, pulling some of these things back and forth. And I like the acrylics where some of my earlier marks start to set up a little bit, start to dry up just a bit. And so I don't disturb them too much. I come back in with other marks and it starts to really happen. And I like that. I like that look of it. Let's get some of this sky color. Let's get back to some of this light violet sky color here, because we should carry some of that into our sand. That's that harmony thing I like to do. So that's that light sky color there. And let's take some of that right down into our sand. See, what it's going to do And that's just a bit light, but that's okay, I think, because I'll work it into that color. What that does is, into my shadows, that carries some of this sky right down into what I want to do here, right into my light. Now I'm going to carry some of that light up just a bit here. There we go. Let those two just kind of come together there. But that light violet sky color, especially when you're into your shadows and stuff here, that's an important color to have in there. And so let's get some of that right in here. We'll see some of that color there, the sky. Always, I usually, not always, but I usually will use the sky as a color of harmony in a painting as well, because I love to paint the skies there. So I'll use that. And so you could use that, tapping around into any of your shadows or anything like that. You could use that. But let's take some of this, let's just dirty up some of that and pull some of that across. Some of this, pull back, pull back. You can run your paper towel to create any kind of softer edges and stuff like that, but I'm going to add some more there. So some softness and then some other colors in there. Just tap in here. Boom. Tap in some darks there. Pick up some mottled color back and forth in here, just like that. Little grasses, you don't have to put all the grasses in if you want to keep it, your own is a little different. I like the grasses here. So let's pull, and see, I'll do it again. Pull down again. This adds just another layer. And so, sometimes I'll do this 5 and 6 times, pulling through something. Each mark that I make, though, is a different mark of my hand, which just slowly keeps adding more and more and more interest to it. You can come over the edge here and, maybe hit if you feel that whole side is a little too much, hit one edge of light. Maybe there's a bit of light just catching the edge over here. Maybe this is a little edge of light here, right in there, catching. I love the knife more than anything. Sometimes I'll push that with my finger and destroy it. But maybe and these are the little marks, what I call the sparks. Remember, some of you paint with me, I call these the little sparks. Maybe you add a few little sparks of light of other things there that just make, and see that this adds more interest and stuff into your dunes. And you can bring in some more, like in those light areas, you can bring in some light yellow greens. Just little touches of them here. That might be a little too green for what I want to do on the beach. Here, let's just, let's get a little burnt sienna in there. I just love the burnt sienna for those colors. Yeah, that's better. Little bits, little marks, little touches. See, so there's a little green one there. Yeah, just, keep it all a little different, right? And, of course, the real beach ones get really rough and lots of stuff going on. So you can increase, just the dragginess of it here, and just increase the interest it does, just dragging some of the colors. And if you get too much, drag some of the colors the other way. Keep it all mottled up. Let's get some of this lighter stuff up over here, little bits of it here. Maybe there's a few little marks of it here. See? Little bits, but yeah, and I do like to create like really nice, let's go back over here since I dirtied that up over there. some yellows, some lights. Don't mix it up real well. Just grab this and let's just reset some of this. And see, now that light sits in a little different than what it did before here. And that just creates more interest through it, see? More highs and lows and interests, and you can get back into some of your shadowy colors here and pull them back the other way. Go, add back in some of your little bushes and stuff if you like those, but it's a lot of fun, and it's you can do a lot of things. Let's get a little more violet there. That's kind of pretty color. But you can come in and just drag some and, create the little stutters like this. That creates the little footprints here. And shadow to the right, light to the left. And that creates all the little undulations and stuff with it. And and how much you do is up to you. Now, I've got one little bit of a problem here, and that is I should take some burnt sienna and some light here and come up over the hill to some lights as well. So it just doesn't appear on the shadow side. That's my left brain there. There we go. Just creating some lights. A little more shadow. And let's just put some of this down in shadow here. There, like that. And let's get a little braver, a little more interest here. There, like that. It's more rough. So now you see you're coming right in. Now I'll come back and, you might, let me rinse some of that out here. Might want to just put in some nice, this is where you control the texture. Maybe a nice little light texture right there. Right there, that just pulls you right towards that beach there. Pulls you into the scene. That's what I like, to have something that kind of pulls you into the scene there. Maybe we take that shadowy color here. We'll take out that little ridge, just a bit of it there. And that just kind of pulls you right into that scene. But you can come in here, like I've showed you before, with some of this. If you want to create some lighter little grasses, you could use this brush. This brush is great for it. Just come in and just create a few little, you don't need a ton, just a few little grass marks and stuff to it. And that's up to you. These little guys just work so well for doing that kind of stuff. And, or you can have deeper, darker colors. You can put in deeper, darker shadows. If I have that light there, I may want to have some of this angled back or flat this way, just to help promote the structure of the dune there, and maybe a little shadow color of that dune. And even go over it with just a bit of white just to soften some of that here. Yeah. But it's just different kinds of textures and stuff, and I'll take some of that light here, and sometimes I'll just drizzle it over the edge and lift the brush so you get kind of a rounding effect slightly. See that rounding effect? And I mean, there's all kinds of ways you're going to find to, as you do this, that you find to work your knife. And it's always the position and movement of the knife that give you your slopes, your angles, and the structure of the dune and stuff that you're looking for, But I think I like that. And I think maybe just a couple more little marks of light that kind of come through a bit. There, leaving some highs and lows. And it's kind of a real fun painting. A quick painting, kind of a fun painting there. Yeah, but it just, you know, and you just have fun with it. You could, you know, in the photo, it shows a plant right back here. You know, I don't know if I'd want to do that. I might even want to cut that edge a little bit cleaner here, so I create that nice transition down to the beach here. There. Got a little bit of the blue of the water. You can see adding that open medium and stuff keeps it wet, so that's better. I like that. Yeah, and then that cooler side, the warmer side, the cooler side, light and shadow and stuff. Just a whole heck of a lot of fun. The clouds and the movement in the sky dried down a little bit, but it's very, very similar to what goes on here in this photo. So you can see in what goes on. I was going to take that off, but that's really stuck. Okay, so that gives you an idea. It's a fun one. You could come back here and cut in a few little bit more stuff, you know, and how much of those quick little grasses and stuff do you want to add? That's yours. If you want more contrast in here, you want to pull the eye even farther forward. Let me just show you that real quick, and then we'll call this a little bit more of the blues and the greens, and the blues and the burnt siennas, those real darks. Get those right up along in here, and you can see instantly, just as I'm doing this, what that does is it pulls your eye this way, see? And so there's artists out there that will be that brave. Sometimes I'm just not that brave, that will leave those and leave those marks and stuff in there, and that's great, you know. That's just great stuff that you can do that, and you can see that pulls you even more this way. Maybe just a touch of that in here, you know, maybe pull out like that a bit. Yeah, and it's just how much you're going to work in here. And, you know, it's just a little painting for those of you that are, you know, a little bit more advanced painters and stuff. This is where you go through and you kind of advance your techniques, your looks. Is you got a nice painting, and it's only taking you an hour or so to get it here, and now you just come up and you start trying different things that is going to take you to the next level of painting. You know, you try some different things here onto it. Now see, I removed some of that light, so I'll just come back, I'll drag some of that, see, I'll leave some of that highs and lows there, and then I'll do it a little more solid on this side because that's the light side, and then lift the pressure right in here, dragging that across, so I get little hits of highs and lows, and that's the sand. Does that make sense? That's the sand hitting the highs and lows through there like that, and that just gives you more. And if you feel that light dark is a little too much, just break it up with a couple of little hits like that. The light's just hitting a few areas, but now your eyes pulled this way a little bit more. All kinds of fun little ways to do that, you know, to pull that through and give you some of those little stuff. And you can make more perfect bushes and stuff. I like the impressionism of it, but anyway, there's a nice one for you to try. Okay, so we're going to continue on. I have some wildlife paintings to do next, and I'm going to do a couple of smaller studies too in between now and then, to you know, of some of the florals and some of the other landscapes, some small ones. I want to do that too as we move the channel forward. And I'm going to go back to, now that we start coming into the summer, I'm going to go back to filming at least 2 videos a week for the channel here. So lots of more stuff coming. So make sure that you click the like down there, okay? Make sure that you subscribe to the channel. When you subscribe to that channel, make sure that you hit that little bell so that you get notified when I release a video, okay? Until that, I'll see you guys in just a couple days. We'll do another one. We're going to do a little wildlife one, and we'll have some fun with that. We may even use some of these techniques, okay? Thanks very much, guys. I'll see you on the next one.